musicians who are up and coming, kids who become teenagers and in the UK and they're starting out. I don't know, is it far reaching to say that they have it? You guys have like melodic melody in your
Well,
bloodstream that, it just
mate,
comes out. There's something, what is it about? Is it the trees? Is it the sky? Is it the weather? Is it something? Is it, you
the
know,
cheese. No.
it's
It's showtime, folks.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Into the Music. My name's John, that's Greg, and let's get right down to it. Greg, I've got a song for you. Are you up for it?
yeah, what the hell?
Well, don't put yourself out. Right, so the band is called 1,000-Yard Stare.
Ooh, what an interesting name for a band. That's like the military term for that blank look, right? From combat and all. Wow. Okay. Bars raised a bit. The band that identifies themselves as that, they gotta bring it. They gotta bring some really good music. All right. What you got?
So the song is called Wonderment.
Okay. All right. I have some wonderment too going into this song. It's kind of like shooting, machine gun kind of.
Bitter February, within and without. Mood to match the weather.
I love what the bass and the drummer are doing together. It's so great. The rhythm is so good. Guitar's not too shabby too. I'm gonna bring it back to when he started singing. I was surprised. I thought it was actually turning into an instrumental. Okay, yeah, I forgot. 6 minutes long plus. This is cool so far. And his singing reminds me of Ned's Atomic Dustbin. That singer, I forgot his name. Yeah, even the music too. I could picture myself years ago dancing to this. I mean, I didn't know the song back then, but this is the kind of song I would just get on the dance floor. With the long overcoat and the black boots and stuff and the blue jeans. That was the look, man. That was it back then, way back then with new wave. It was just absolutely just taking over college radio stations and the clubs. Uh, yeah, on Long Island. Yeah. Yeah, again, I don't know this song at the first time, but it's that kind of music. Takes me back. A lot of drumming. The guitar. Woo! Oh, he saved the best for last. Oh my God, the drummer's going crazy. Guitarist too is trying to catch up. Oh man. I'm gonna bring this back. And it's two guitarists. I mean, one is playing the rhythm and the other guy's just going up and down and up and down. Yeah, up and down. I think that's it. Ah, the drum is going off his nut. Wow, wow. Got that right. No commercial. No, please, no. Yeah, I just caught it. Wow, 1,000-yard stare wonderment. Wow, that was a wonderment. Absolutely, that was great music. What a great first listen. Wow, the drummer just absolutely just took off. That second part of the song went crazy. Guitarists were doing their best to keep up. Yeah, Lead guitarist is great. Bass player, everyone was so good. Even the vocalist was really good. Again, like Ned's Atomic Dustbin, maybe even a little bit of. I know I'm gonna get a lot of stares on the other side. Joe Strummer, just a little bit. Like when he was tailing off on each line, it kind of had a Joe Strummer kind of sound to it. Yeah, I don't know, things I'm picking up, but this was fun, like a lot of fun. Cool. Let's go talk with John on this one. So let me ask you, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? And
I
while
know.
you're pondering that, which
I'd say
comes
egg for
first?
starter, then chicken main course.
Okay. So along the same lines, which comes first? Ned's Atomic Dustbin or this band? Because this is very Ned's Atomic Dustbin. Like, that's not a bad thing, but it definitely has that Ned's Atomic Dustbin sound.
I would
Which
say
is
this band is before them, but I'm not 100% sure.
Ned's Atomic Dustbin, I think they started getting popular in 89, 90, 91. That was their sort of
Yeah.
time period.
This is 90.
So this is 90. Yeah. I mean, there was, to me, it's a similarity. The way the guitars, you had that rhythm, and you had that very late 80, early 90 sound. That's what I identified it as. And this is not a criticism, it's not. It's just, it's an observation. Just wondering. It definitely was when you think about like that alternative music, alternative rock slash, and a lot of the music that was coming out of Britain back in that time, like that Britpop. That Britpop was, but it's a little bit of an edge to this. It's there's Britpop, there's the really lollipop Britpop, and then there's something with real substance, kind of meat, to the bone. This song had that. The guitarist was just, I mean, winner chicken dinner. Although the drummer was absolutely bringing it, especially as the song was going on. I was noticing him. Maybe it was because I was so smitten by the guitarist. For such a good period of the song. It's almost like you just you fall in love. Like, oh, I want that. I want her. And you block everyone out. The person could be lit on fire right over there, but I'm only seeing the beautiful. And maybe the drummer was doing amazing things in the beginning of the song and I wasn't noticing. But I gotta tell you, man, the drummer was just, he was bringing it too. And the bass player, I wrote the bass player too. Again, I think they were, bringing it. I just wasn't noticing until later on. But I gotta tell you, man, that's the whole thing too. Because as I'm noticing the bass and the drummer, as the song is going on and towards, like the song was getting better and better for me. That was, it really was. It was great. The guitarist was having so much fun. He was like going up and down that neck, up and down that neck. He was just doing these runs, and it was, yeah, and a lot of it was, within the rhythm guitar kind of sound. I think there were two guitars, but it was almost like he was doing everything but really going solo. Like, at least that's kind of, he was sort of filling in the rhythm. It was just doing these cool sort of things, but it was no solo guitar. There was no solo part until the end when I stopped the video and I just said, holy shit, I just been eating an amazing cake. The cake was amazing. And I think I've talked about this before. This this analogy, this metaphor thing about the cake, you can bake a cake and it can be delicious. You don't have to put the icing on. Sometimes you put the icing on, it's too sweet. It can ruin the cake. They put this delicious, they put this cannoli cream kind of thing. Some, I don't know, because I like cannoli cream. They put this icing on this beautiful, wonderful cake with the wah-wah, the wah-wah, the wah-wah, the wah-wah. I loved it. I really did. I had so much fun with the song. I really did. And even the vocals sounded a little bit like Ned's Atomic Dustbin. Although there was a little part of him too that sounded just a little bit at the tail end of every verse. I mean, every lyrical line. a little Joe Strummer, a little bit of a softened Joe Strummer, just the way, you know, he was kind of ending each lyrical line. And yeah. And then, oh, there was a part two where the guitarist is muting the strings. And he's really like, you know, that was really cool. All of it was cool. Everything about the song was cool. So if I had any wonderment going into the song, nah, I mean, you know, everything answered. Well, I want to know if there's any more cool songs like this out there by this band, or were they kind of like a one-hit wonder?
Probably. Well, I mean, for their field, then yeah, they had quite a few decent tracks. They weren't massively in the charts, you know. Where's that little golden period, I think, of British indie music, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
So this is 4 years before Britpop. So there's that time when you've got Ride and you've got. I was never that much. I mean, I liked Next Atomic Dust, but I was never that really into them. But they were around then, decent. I hear a distinct difference, but I could appreciate people think it's the same or similar or reminiscent.
Similar. Yeah.
Yeah. But you had a lot of bands around which were doing this sort of fairly, I wouldn't say aggressive, but more lively indie guitar stuff, as opposed to sort of more gentle stuff like the Smiths that was jangly and, you know, happy, and all the stuff that came after that, musically happy rather than lyrically.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were real spoiled, and it was a lot of bands that, you know, came through were like this, and it was just a real lovely period of time for about 2 or 3 years, and then it sort of went on a step further with the beginnings of Britpop were fantastic, and then it all went up its own arse. But anyway, so yeah, these guys are from Slough. Just quickly name check: Stephen Barnes on vocals. I don't think the vocals are the most important part of any of their songs. He's okay. He's better than some sort of indie bands that are really terrible vocals. But Giles Duffy on lead guitar, Kevin Moxon on rhythm, Steve McDonough on bass, and Dominic Bostick on drums. So their debut vinyl EP was called Weather Watching, which is this here, and this track was on it. November 1990. It was on their own record label called Stifled Aardvark. They had various EPs afterwards, and they all topped the UK indie charts, and I think they may have 1 or 2 little bits that maybe troubled the proper main charts. So yeah, they brought out a few EPs, and I've got a few of them here just to show you very quickly. Keepsake EP, this is 10-inch, really nice, it's numbered. That's quite a rare one. Season Stream EP.
Yeah.
They're all quite similar looking. Comeuppance, that's a great EP. Really good song on there as well. This is nice. It's a double pack, 2 10-inch EPs. Again, really, really nice. And this is their album Hands On, which I got as well. So there's a couple of tunes which they did, which are really, really awesome. Which I might give you one of them. And again, it's got that same sort of feel. It's got guitar pyrotechnics, but not, you know, it's not AC/DC, you know, but it's really nice in that indie frame.
Well, that's the thing, because what sets this kind of guitar playing apart is the melody. It's very melodic, you know. It's very, it's really there to support the melody and beef it up actually even more. That's the thing, the up and down the notes and this and that, you know. It's that's the cool thing. But that was sort of a signature stamp, you know, on that time period, you know, as you were saying, you know, the music that, you know, the Stone Roses, the Charlatans, you know, Oasis, you know, everything from like the 88, you know, 89, you know, period straight through into like the early 90s and stuff like that. What was coming out, you know, Echo and the Bunnymen, you know, what was coming out around that time. Echo and Bunnymen were actually, they were more like 86, 87, 88, right? Weren't they, or they even earlier? Echo
When
and
they
the Bunnymen.
started, first album came out in 1980.
Okay, yeah, right. That's why I stopped myself. I'm like, whoa. But I think But
But their major label album, which was Echo and the Bunnymen per se, was about 87, something
okay,
like that. They
yeah,
split, yeah, and then
yeah,
came back in the late 90s, yeah. But yeah, you're right in terms of like it was melody driven. You
yeah.
had the odd people playing their own, like Kevin Shields, My Bloody Valentine, but most of the time it was, very, melody driven.
Isn't that really, can't that be said for so much of British music? Like throughout different generations,
I guess,
decade
yeah,
upon decade upon decade. I really think, like, why am I so drawn to British music, And it goes from the 60s straight
yeah.
through, every era, there is British music that is just fantastic, And I think the one constant is the sort of, is the attraction to melody. It's the melody. It's yeah, you guys have the stranglehold on melody. You really do. You get it, you understand it, and I think what comes out of here, like anything, like a lot of songs here in the United States, they try to get melodic. I think it gets mistaken by the people who are trying to produce it, being sappy and syrupy and sugary and too sweet, or formulaic, and I think they misunderstand like real good melodic songs, what melody, and I don't know, even today, bands, artists that are coming out of the UK they still get it when it comes to melody. I don't know. Am I making sense on that?
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. I think we're very blessed in this, in the UK, that we're quite a rich cultural heritage in general, in terms of, the other arts as well. But I think music in particular, um, we've been very, very lucky. I think we were a small little island off the coast of Europe, and the amazing stuff that's come out that's gone around the world 7 times, sort of thing. So yeah, we have been really, really blessed with some of the output. When you think about it,
But do you
and
have any thoughts as to why? Like, is it like what's in the water, over there? No, really, I mean, it's not luck. It's not happen chance. I mean, there's something that I think is like over here, I'm a baseball fan, so I'm going to bring this up as sort of like as an example. There are certain, like, why the Yankees, almost always in the playoffs. Why
yeah,
year after year after year after year. The Dodgers, the same thing. Like, what is it about those teams that no matter the year, the decade, when players get old and then new ones, and yet these teams just continue to be so good. There's a blueprint. There's something that gets handed down. It just, so like musicians who are up and coming, kids who become teenagers and in the UK and they're starting out. I don't know. Is it far reaching to say that they have it? You guys have like melodic melody in your
well,
bloodstream that it just
mate,
comes out. There's something, what is it about? Is it the trees? Is it the sky? Is it the weather? Is it something? Is it,
the cheese. No.
it's
But I think there's a couple of things that may be influential, certainly not the answer. But I would say, one, the shadow of the Beatles hangs heavy over just about anyone who picks up a guitar and wants to sing and do a song. Because
even to this day.
yeah, it must do. It
Wow.
must do. It
That's
must do.
amazing.
Because you can't think of a better collection of songs. And we're talking 50 years onwards, and no one's come close.
Yeah.
And these songs are still being played on the radio, and people are still getting up at wedding receptions and dancing to them, and they're 4 years old and 84 years old, And
Beatles
that's,
music is still played in the UK. You still hear?
yeah,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You didn't realize you even did that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it is, and but I think one of the other things, which again is interesting, you say about what's the secret on
Yeah.
the I think perhaps in this country, and yeah, I know in Ireland, definitely, the sort of the singer-songwriter or the band making their own music, that organic growth is really valued. The sort of song by committee or the sort of publishing houses, and I know it's been successful in America. You think of like Motown and Smokey Robinson wrote half the bloody songs, but it never caught on really in this country, and it perhaps is doing now with the producers. I've got a song, let's get a singer in. But back in the day, it was all these people developing their own sound, a really healthy live touring, and of course you could tour the whole country in a week or so because it's not as big as America. And America is a confederation of different states, are almost different countries, and you go down south and you're some Yankee doing this, you'll be coming across a lot different than if you go to Washington State or whatever. So you can do all that, you can get a feel for things, you'll bump into more other bands at the same time, and particularly the periods that I know more about, sort of like that new wave, they were cross pollinating with each other and influencing and inspiring each other, and so that's where you got this development, and things like you say Echo and the Bunny Men, suddenly their growth in the space of 2 or 3 albums was just amazing, which it would take a lot of other bands 5-10 years to like change their sound and develop and grow. And you see with the Beatles, they got a successful formula from 62, 63 through to 65, and then they hit their change, and into Strawberry Fields, etc. So I think that was always really valued, and so that's where you get these unique sounds, and you've got and at that sort of time, and the hype isn't really the thing. You live and die by your songs, and what people go to see is the melody. That's what stays with them afterwards, what they'll whistle the next day. That's just a thought. I don't know if it's the actual total answer, but yeah.
Well, when you would talk about like the Echo and the Bunnymen, and like how they were like where they started out and what they wound up sort of, finessing, right? And all that into the sound. I was thinking about like the Stone Roses, I've heard some of their early stuff and they were trying to figure it out. And then they come out with Waterfall, with that beautiful, with that little drum beat, and the bass, it's so, there's lightness, but then they mixed it with this kind of, then Squire come in with the guitar. It was just,
but that was
the melody, melodic.
That was 9 years in the making, that album. From when they started writing the songs and trying to gig them, and then they recorded the album, and it was awful. Then they got in Martin Hannett to do a version, and that's even worse.
Yeah.
And then they come across. So it's all that period of time. It was baking for
of development. Yeah. But whatever. Yeah. We should actually make a whole separate episode about UK music. Really. Yeah. Why is it so good? Anyway, this was great. This really was.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed this a lot. Yeah, cool. Good discussion too that came out of this. So John, you have a good rest of the day, evening, I think, where you are. Go to bed. I know it's actually really late. Go to bed. Get some sleepies. Out there, if it's still daytime, well, go enjoy the rest of the day. I really hope you have a wonderful day. Like and subscribe. Put in the comments why you like the song, all that stuff. What else from this band? And with that said, we'll see all of you on next episode of Into the Music.
So yeah.